Miriam's hands wouldn't stop shaking. The laptop screen glowed in the darkness of Joon's room, showing her name in cold, clinical text. Target: Miriam Bello. Status: elimination approved. Assigned operator: Kim Joon. Surveillance photos scrolled past, her at the campus cafe, walking to the library, leaving Yuna's apartment. Dozens of photos spanning months, taken before she'd even met him, before their first conversation, before she'd been stupid enough to think the way he looked at her meant something other than a predator studying his prey. The cursor moved on its own. Someone logging in remotely. She slammed the laptop shut, heart hammering so violently she thought her ribs might crack. Behind her, a voice cut through the silence like a blade drawn across skin. "You weren't supposed to see that." She spun around. Joon stood in the doorway, backlit by the hallway light, his face in shadow. But she could see his eyes, dark and intense and locked on her like he was deciding something. Those same eyes that had watched her across crowded rooms. The same hands that had brushed against hers in passing, sending electricity up her arm. The man she'd spent 3 months falling for was assigned to kill her. If you're ready for a story about forbidden attraction and deadly obsession, grab something to drink, get comfortable, and whatever you do, don't look away, because you're not going to want to miss a single second of this. Because what starts as a love story becomes a fight for survival. This is the story of how Miriam fell for her best friend's brother and discovered he'd been sent to eliminate her. And trust me, it gets so much worse before it gets better. 3 months earlier, Seoul looked like a fever dream. Miriam stepped off the plane with one suitcase, a scholarship to Korea University, and her best friend Yuna waiting at arrivals. Yuna squealed and pulled her into a hug that smelled like cherry blossoms and expensive perfume. "Oh my God, you're finally here! I've been counting down for weeks." She grabbed the suitcase, chattering about campus and cafes and her apartment in Gangnam. Then her voice dropped. "Just so you know, my brother will be there, Joon. He's not exactly the welcoming type." "Not welcoming how?" Miriam's brows pulled together. "He doesn't really talk to people, or smile, or acknowledge anyone exists unless he has to." Yuna shrugged. "Don't take it personally. He's been like that since he got back from wherever he was for 2 years. Mom won't talk about it." The apartment was in a building made of glass and steel, the kind of place Miriam had only seen in magazines. 15th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering chaos. Inside, everything was pristine. Minimalist furniture, white walls, cold and beautiful and perfect. And there, standing in the kitchen in gray sweatpants and nothing else, was Joon. Miriam's breath caught. He was tall, lean muscle moving under skin as he reached for a water bottle. A scar cut across his ribs, raised and vicious like someone had tried to gut him with a knife. His hair was wet, pushed back from his face. When he turned and saw them, his expression didn't change. Just looked at her with dark, unreadable eyes that seemed to catalog every detail in a single sweep, then dismissed her just as quickly. "You're the friend." His voice was flat, bored even. "Miriam." She tried to smile, but her mouth went dry. He was beautiful in the way dangerous things were beautiful. All sharp edges and barely leashed violence. "Joon," he said, grabbing a shirt from the back of a chair, pulled it on in one smooth motion. When he walked past her toward his room, his shoulder brushed hers. Just barely. Just enough that she caught his scent, something clean and sharp with an edge of smoke that made her think of things burning. Then he was gone. Door closing with a quiet click that sounded like dismissal. Yuna rolled her eyes. "See? Told you. Don't waste your time trying to befriend him. He doesn't do people." But that night, lying on Yuna's couch, Miriam couldn't sleep. At 2 in the morning, she heard Joon's door open. Footsteps, quiet and deliberate. The apartment door unlocking. She sat up, peered over the back of the couch just in time to see him slip out. Through the window, she watched him on the street below, climbing into a black car with no headlights that drove away into Seoul's neon darkness. Where did someone go at 2 in the morning? University started, and Miriam tried to focus on classes, on making friends, on anything except Joon. Except he kept appearing, not obviously, just there, at her favorite campus cafe, sitting in the corner with his laptop, eyes tracking her over the screen, walking 3 steps behind her when she left the library at night, standing across the street from the apartment building, hands in his pockets, watching her window. She told herself it was coincidence. Seoul was big, but Gangnam wasn't. They lived in the same apartment, of course they'd cross paths. Except it wasn't coincidence. 2 weeks after she arrived, her study partner Minjun made her laugh in the campus courtyard. Some joke about their economics professor's terrible tie. She threw her head back, laughing. And when she looked up, Joon was there, 20 feet away, standing by a tree, eyes locked on Minjun with an expression that made her blood run cold, not angry, worse, calculating, like he was deciding whether Minjun was a problem that needed solving. Then his gaze shifted to her, held. Something dark and intense passed between them before he turned and walked away. Who was that? Minjun asked. My best friend's brother. He looks like he wants to kill me. Miriam laughed it off, but her hands were shaking. The first time Joon touched her, it was because she was clumsy. She was leaving the library with an armful of books, trying to text Yuna at the same time, and didn't see the step. The books went flying, papers scattering in the wind. She scrambled to gather them, cursing under her breath. Careful! That voice. She looked up. Joon was crouched beside her, gathering pages with efficient movements. He handed them back, and their fingers brushed. Just for a second. But electricity shot up her arm, made her breath hitch. His eyes locked on hers. You should watch where you're going. Thanks. Why couldn't she form a complete sentence? He stood, and she had to tilt her head back to keep eye contact. Up close, she could see the shadow of stubble on his jaw, the way his eyes weren't just dark but almost black, pupils swallowing iris. He held her gaze for 3 seconds too long. Long enough that her pulse kicked into overdrive. Long enough that she forgot how to breathe. Then he walked away without another word. Miriam stood there in the middle of the courtyard, heart racing, hands trembling slightly as she clutched her books. What the hell was that? 3 days later, it rained. Miriam was leaving the library when the sky opened up, turning the campus into a gray blur. She stood under the overhang, no umbrella, watching water pour down in sheets. The door opened behind her. Joon stepped out, saw her, and something flickered across his face, almost like concern. He shrugged off his jacket, expensive-looking black leather, and held it out. Take it. I can't. You'll get sick. Take it. Not a request, a command. She took it, still warm from his body. Thank you. But what about you? He was already walking into the rain without answering, white shirt soaking through in seconds, plastering to the muscles of his back. Miriam stood there holding his jacket, breathing in that scent of smoke and something darker she couldn't name, something that made her think of dangerous choices. When she got back to the apartment, Yuna was in the kitchen making tea. Is that Joon's jacket? Yeah. It was raining. He gave it to me. Yuna's eyes went wide. He what? Joon doesn't. He doesn't do stuff like that. Ever. Maybe he was just being nice. Joon isn't nice. Yuna's voice went serious. I love my brother, but nice isn't in his vocabulary. If he's paying attention to you, that means something. And Miriam? She grabbed her hand, squeezed. Please don't fall for him. I'm begging you. You're my best friend, and he's my brother, and I love you both. But whatever he's involved in, whoever he works for, it's dangerous. People around him get hurt. I'm not falling for him. The lie tasted like ash, but she was falling. Gosh, she was falling so hard it terrified her. She started noticing everything. The way he moved like violence was always an option. The way his eyes tracked her across rooms, dark and hungry and conflicted. The way he'd appear whenever she needed help opening doors she was struggling with, carrying her groceries when she had too many bags, fixing her laptop when it froze. He never said much, just did these small things, then disappeared before she could thank him properly. It was driving her insane. One night, she was studying late on the couch, trying to finish an essay due at midnight. Yuna was asleep. The apartment was quiet, except for the sound of her typing. Then she heard Joon's door opening. She looked up. He stood in the hallway in sweatpants and a t-shirt, hair messy like he'd been sleeping. He saw her. Froze. Sorry, she whispered. Am I being too loud? No. He moved into the kitchen, filled a glass with water, drank it while leaning against the counter, eyes on her, not looking away. The silence stretched. Miriam's heart hammered. Say something. Anything. Can't sleep? No. Me neither. This essay is killing me. He moved closer, stood behind the couch, looking at her laptop screen, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating off him. Economics? Yeah. Professor Kim's midterm paper. I don't think I'm going to finish in time. Move over. What? Move! He gestured. She slid over on the couch. He sat beside her, close enough that their thighs touched, took her laptop. What's the topic? Market equilibrium in emerging economies. Her voice came out breathless. He was right there. She could smell him clean and warm and something else that made her head spin. He typed for maybe 10 minutes, hands moving quickly over the keys, then turned the laptop back to her. Start there. You were overcomplicating it. She read what he'd written. It was perfect. Clear, concise, exactly what she'd been struggling to say for 3 hours. How did you? I have an economics degree. You do? I do a lot of things. He stood. Put distance between them like being close was painful. You should sleep after you submit that. You look exhausted. Joon? He stopped. Looked back. Thank you. Something shifted in his expression, almost like he was in pain. Don't thank me, Miriam. Why not? Because I don't deserve it. Then he was gone, door closing quietly behind him. She sat there staring at her laptop, at the essay he'd essentially written for her, trying to understand what just happened. Trying to understand him. The next week, Joon asked her to study together at the campus cafe. Just a normal study session. Except when she arrived, Joon was there, sitting in the corner, laptop open, but his eyes were on her, watching as Joon pulled out a chair for her, watching as Joon made her laugh with a story about his roommate, watching as Joon's hand accidentally brushed hers when they both reached for the same textbook. Joon's jaw clenched so hard she could see it from across the cafe. After an hour, her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Cancel your plans tonight. Don't ask questions. Just do it. She knew it was Joon. Don't ask how. She just knew. She texted back. Why? Because I said so. That's not an answer. It's the only answer you're getting. Cancel. Now. Her heart raced. She should tell him to go to hell. Should ignore him. But something in those messages, some edge of desperation made her comply. She told Joon she wasn't feeling well and needed to go home. He looked disappointed but didn't push. When she got back to the apartment, Joon was in the living room, waiting. What was that about? She demanded. You need to stay away from him. From Joon? He's my study partner. I don't care what he is. Joon stood, and suddenly the room felt too small. You can't see him anymore. You don't get to tell me who I can see. Yes, I do. He moved toward her, each step deliberate. You have no idea what kind of attention you're attracting. Every person who gets close to you is a target. A target for what? What are you talking about? He stopped right in front of her, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes, close enough that she could see the muscle ticking in his jaw. I can't explain. You just have to trust me. Trust you? I barely know you. Then maybe you should have thought of that before you started looking at me like... He stopped, jaw working. Like what? His eyes dropped to her mouth. Lingered. Like you want me to touch you. Her breath caught. I don't. Don't lie. His hand came up slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His fingers brushed her jaw, tilted her face up. I see the way you look at me, Miriam. Like you're trying to figure me out. Like you think there's something good under all this. His thumb traced her bottom lip. There isn't. I'm exactly what you're afraid I am. I'm not afraid of you. You should be. His voice dropped to barely above a whisper. Because if you keep looking at me like that, if you keep letting him touch you, if you keep making me insane, I'm going to do something we'll both regret. Like what? The words came out breathless. He leaned in, forehead touching hers, breath warm against her lips. Like forget every rule I've ever followed. The apartment door opened. They sprang apart like they'd been electrocuted. Yuna walked in, earbuds in, humming. She pulled them out, looked between them. What's going on? Nothing, Miriam said too quickly. Yuna's eyes narrowed. Why do you both look guilty? We don't. I know what guilty looks like. She pointed at Joon. What did you do? I didn't do anything. Then why is she flushed and you look like you want to punch something? Joon grabbed his jacket from the back of the couch. I'm going out. Joon! But he was already gone. Door slamming hard enough to rattle the frame. Yuna turned to Miriam. Okay, what the hell was that? I don't know. Miriam pressed her palms to her hot cheeks. He told me I can't see Joon anymore. What? Why? He wouldn't explain. Just said I have to trust him. Yuna's expression shifted from confused to worried. Miriam, listen to me. If Joon is telling you to stay away from someone, you should listen. He doesn't say things like that unless there's a reason. What kind of reason? The kind I don't ask about. Yuna sat on the couch, pulled Miriam down beside her. I'm going to tell you something I've never told anyone. 3 years ago, I had a boyfriend. Joon told me to break up with him. I didn't listen. 2 weeks later, my boyfriend was in the hospital. Someone beat him so badly he lost vision in one eye. Miriam's blood went cold. Joon did that? I don't know. He wouldn't talk about it. But the timing, and the way he looked when I asked him. Yuna's voice dropped. My point is, when Joon tells you something, he has a reason, even if he won't say what it is. Miriam thought about the way Joon had looked at Joon. that calculating expression. You think he'd hurt him? I think if Joon believes someone is a threat to you, he'll do whatever it takes to eliminate that threat, whether you want him to or not. That night, Miriam couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Joon's hand on her jaw, his thumb on her lip, the way he'd looked at her like he was drowning and she was air. Around 3 in the morning, she heard sounds from his room, muffled thuds, like someone hitting something over and over. She got up, moved quietly down the hallway. His door was cracked open. She peered inside. Joon was shirtless, hitting a heavy bag hanging in the corner of his room, knuckles wrapped in tape that was starting to turn red. Each hit landed with brutal precision, the bag swinging wildly. His back was covered in scars, not just the one on his ribs. Dozens of them, crisscrossing pale skin like a map of violence. If you're going to watch, at least come in. His voice made her jump. Sorry. I heard noises. He stopped, breathing hard, sweat glistening on his skin. Turned to look at her. Can't sleep? No, me neither. He unwrapped his hand slowly. His knuckles were split, bleeding through the tape. You're hurt. I'm fine. Let me at least clean that. She moved into his room without asking permission, found his bathroom, came back with a first aid kit. He watched her with dark, unreadable eyes as she sat beside him on the bed. She took his hand in hers, started cleaning the split knuckles with an antiseptic wipe. He didn't flinch, just watched her face like he was memorizing it. Why do you hit things? She asked quietly. Because I can't hit the things I actually want to hit. Like what? His free hand came up, caught her wrist. Not hard, but firm enough that she couldn't move. His thumb found her pulse point. Your heart is racing. You scare me. Good. His voice was rough. You should be scared, Miriam. Terrified, actually. Why? Because... He stopped, jaw clenching, released her wrist like her skin burned him. You should go to bed. Joon, please. He looked up at her, and for the first time, she saw something raw in his expression. Something almost like fear. Please just go. She left, but she could feel his eyes on her back the entire way down the hallway. The next morning, Minjun didn't show up to class, or the next day, or the day after that. When Miriam finally texted him, he responded, I'm transferring to a different university. Sorry, can't explain. She showed Yuna the text. This is weird, right? He was fine 3 days ago. Yuna looked at the message, then at Miriam, and something clicked. Joon talked to him. What? How do you know? Because this is exactly the kind of thing he does. He doesn't threaten people, he just makes them understand that leaving is the better option. Miriam felt sick. That night, when Joon came home around midnight, she was waiting. What did you do to Minjun? He didn't even pretend not to know what she meant. I convinced him to transfer. You had no right. I had every right. He moved closer, eyes dark and intense. He was getting too close, too comfortable. Too much of a complication. A complication for what? For keeping you alive. The words hung in the air, sharp and terrible. Miriam stared at him. What are you talking about? Joon ran his hands through his hair, frustration bleeding through his control. You think you're safe here? You think this is just some normal study abroad experience? You have no idea what you walked into. Then tell me. I can't. Why not? Because the moment you know, you become a target. If you're ignorant, if you're innocent, there's a chance. He stopped, turned away from her. There's a chance I can keep you safe. Safe from what? From who? He didn't answer, just stood there with his back to her, shoulders rigid with tension. Miriam moved closer, reached out, touched his shoulder. He flinched like she'd burned him. Joon, please, you're scaring me. Good, he said again, but his voice cracked on the word. Being scared might keep you alive. She came around to face him, forced him to look at her. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not transferring. I'm not running away just because you're being cryptic and overprotective. So either tell me what's going on, or accept that I'm staying. He looked at her for a long moment. Then his hand came up, cupped her face with a gentleness that contrasted sharply with everything else about him. You're going to get hurt because of me. Maybe. But that's my choice to make. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. I wish I'd never met you. The words should have hurt, but the way he said them like it was the saddest thing he'd ever admitted made her understand. He didn't mean it as an insult. He meant it as a wish that she could have been spared from whatever darkness he carried. I don't, she whispered. Something broke in his expression. He leaned in slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. She didn't. His forehead touched hers, and they stood there breathing each other's air, suspended in that terrible, beautiful moment before everything changes. This is a mistake, he said. I know. I'm going to hurt you. Probably. And you're still not going to run? No. His hand tightened on her face. You're insane. Maybe. She tilted her head up slightly, closing the already microscopic distance between them. But so are you. He kissed her. Finally. After months of tension and almosts and interrupted moments, he kissed her like she was the only thing keeping him from drowning, like she was air and salvation and damnation all at once. His other hand came up to tangle in her hair, pulling her closer, and Miriam forgot how to breathe. Forgot everything except the taste of him, the feel of his hands on her, the way he made that sound low in his throat like he was in pain and pleasure simultaneously. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to hers again. This changes nothing, doesn't it? No, you're still going to get hurt. I'm still going to be the one who does it. And when that happens, you'll hate me. I could never hate you. Give it time, he said. And there was so much sadness in his voice that her chest ached. For 3 days, nothing changed. Joon avoided her. She tried to focus on classes. They circled each other in the apartment like planets locked in gravity but too afraid to collide. Yuna noticed, but didn't comment. Just watched them with worried eyes. Then, Miriam's laptop died. 2 hours before a major assignment was due, screen frozen, nothing working. She tried restarting it 6 times. Nothing. Panic clawed up her throat. She knocked on Joon's door. No answer. Tried the handle. Unlocked. Joon? My laptop crashed. Can I use yours for like 2 minutes? I just need to submit something. Silence. She stepped inside. His room was exactly what she'd expected. Sparse. Bed made with military precision, desk with a laptop sitting open. She moved to it, touched the trackpad. The screen lit up, and then she saw it. A notification in the corner. Email received. Target update. Her hand moved on its own, clicking before her brain could catch up. Surveillance photos. Of her. At campus. At the cafe. Walking to the library. Leaving the apartment. Dozens of photos spanning months. Since before she'd arrived in Seoul. Since before she'd met Joon. Since before their first conversation. A file labeled with her full name. She clicked it with shaking hands. Target, Miriam Bello. Age, 22. Nationality, Nigerian. Current location, Seoul, South Korea. Status, observation phase complete. Awaiting elimination approval. Assigned operator, Kim Joon. Priority, high. Reason, potential carrier of Bello intelligence. Father's final asset unknown. Eliminate to prevent information leak. The words swam. Her father. Her father, who died in a car accident when she was 16. Except maybe it wasn't an accident. The screen flickered. The cursor moved on its own. Someone accessing the laptop remotely. Red text appeared. Unauthorized access detected. She slammed it shut, heart hammering so hard she thought it might explode. She stood so fast the chair fell backward. The apartment door opened. Footsteps in the hallway. She knew those footsteps. Heavy, deliberate, controlled. Joon appeared in his doorway. He looked at her, standing there, looked at his laptop, and his entire body went rigid. For 3 seconds they just stared at each other. Then his jaw clenched. What did you see? She couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Her throat had closed up, words stuck like knives. Miriam. He stepped into the room, closed the door behind him with a quiet click. What did you see? My name. Her voice came out strangled. My name on a list, with the word elimination next to it, and your name. As the operator assigned to kill me, he closed his eyes, exhaled slowly. When he opened them, resignation had settled into his features like armor. You weren't supposed to know. Were you ever going to tell me? She backed away from him until her spine hit the wall. Or were you just going to do it? Is that why you've been following me? Getting close to me? Kissing me? You were just waiting for the right moment to... No. He moved toward her, hands raised like she was a wild animal. It's not like that. Then what is it like? Explain to me why my name is on your laptop with instructions to eliminate me. Because I was assigned to watch you. To confirm you were who they thought you were. And then to eliminate you. The words came out flat, emotionless. But his hands were shaking. That's what I do. That's who I am. Her legs gave out. She slid down the wall, sat on the floor with her head between her knees, trying not to vomit. My father. The file said something about my father. Your father worked for people I work for. Joon crouched in front of her, close enough to touch, but not touching. A syndicate that operates in the shadows. Assassinations, information brokering. He was an informant. When he tried to leave, they killed him. made it look like an accident. No. No, my father was a businessman. He sold secrets, Joon finished. He sold secrets, and before he died, they think he hid something. Information that could expose the entire organization. They've been watching you for years, waiting to see if he told you anything, if he left you anything. I don't know anything. Her voice broke. I was 16 when he died. He didn't tell me anything. I know. And for the first time, real emotion bled through his control. I've been watching you for 3 months. You go to class, you study, you laugh with Yuna. You don't know anything. You're innocent. Then why? Because they don't believe in loose ends. He ran his hands through his hair, frustration evident in every line of his body. My assignment was to confirm your ignorance and then eliminate you anyway. Just in case. Just to be sure. She stared at him. At this man she'd kissed 3 days ago. This man who'd given her his jacket in the rain. Who'd helped her with her essay. Who'd looked at her like she was something precious. And you were going to do it. At first, his voice was barely above a whisper. At first, that's all you were. An assignment. But then, he stopped, jaw working. Then I got to know you. I watched you help that elderly woman carry her groceries even though you were late for class. I watched you stay up until 3 a.m. studying because you refused to fail. I watched you light up every room you walk into. And his hands clenched into fists. I couldn't do it. Couldn't or wouldn't. Both. He looked at her, and the pain in his eyes was so raw it hurt to witness. I told them I needed more time, that the observation phase wasn't complete. I've been stalling for 2 months because every time I think about completing the assignment, every time I imagine, he stopped, looked away. I can't. I won't. What happens now? Now we're both in danger. He stood, started pacing like a caged animal. Because they know something's wrong. They know I'm compromised. And when they find out why, he turned to her. Miriam, you have to leave. Tonight. Go back to Nigeria. Disappear. Change your name. I'll tell them I completed the assignment. I'll make it look like... No. Miriam, I'm not running. She stood on shaky legs, wiped the tears from her face. If they want me dead, they'll find me eventually. Right? He didn't answer. Didn't have to. They both knew she was right. Then I'd rather stay here. With you. And at least know what I'm fighting. You're not fighting anything. I am. He moved toward her, grabbed her shoulders. I won't let them touch you. I'll die before I let them. His voice cracked. But you have to let me protect you. Which means following my rules. No more study partners. No more late nights at the library. No more anything without me knowing where you are. You're talking about being a prisoner. I'm talking about being alive. They stared at each other. His hands still on her shoulders. Her heart still racing. Finally, she nodded. Okay, but you have to promise me something. What? No more lies. No more secrets. If we're doing this, if I'm trusting you with my life, I need to know everything. He hesitated. Then, okay. Starting with, are you going to kiss me again? He blinked. Whatever he'd expected her to ask, it wasn't that. What? 3 days ago you kissed me. Then you avoided me. I need to know if that was just adrenaline or if it meant something. His hands tightened on her shoulders. Miriam, this is insane. You just found out I was sent to kill you. I know, but you also said you won't. So I'm asking, did that kiss mean something to you? He stared at her like she'd lost her mind. Maybe she had. Maybe learning that the man you're falling for is an assassin breaks something in your brain. Yes, it meant something. What? It meant... He pulled her closer, his forehead dropping to touch hers. It meant I'm completely screwed, because I've fallen for my target, and that's the one thing I swore I'd never do. And now I can't complete my assignment, can't protect you properly, can't think straight when you're near me. So yes, Miriam, it meant something. She tilted her head up. Good, because I've fallen for you too, which is probably the stupidest thing I've ever done. Definitely the stupidest. So what do we do now? His hands moved from her shoulders to frame her face. Now I keep you alive, no matter what it costs me. He kissed her again. Slower, this time. Deliberate, like he was trying to memorize the taste of her. When he pulled back, his eyes were dark and serious. You need to understand something. The people I work for, they don't forgive betrayal. When they find out, and they will find out, they'll come for both of us. And I can only protect you if you trust me completely. Can you do that? She thought about it. Really thought about it. She was trusting a man who'd been sent to kill her. A man who'd admitted he was dangerous. A man whose room she'd just discovered was filled with evidence of surveillance. It was insane. "Yes," she said. "I trust you." Something in his expression shifted. Relief, maybe, or fear. "You shouldn't, but I do." The next 2 days were strange. Joon barely left her side. He walked her to classes, waited outside buildings while she was in lectures, followed her to the library. At first, it felt suffocating, but then, she noticed things. The way his eyes constantly scanned their surroundings. The way he positioned himself between her and any potential threats. The way his hand would rest on the small of her back when they walked through crowds, guiding her, protecting her. He was serious about keeping her safe. Yuna noticed the change immediately. "Okay, what's going on with you two? Last week you were avoiding each other. Now he's basically your shadow. He's just being protective." "Protective?" Yuna's eyes narrowed. "Miriam? Are you sleeping with my brother?" "What?" "No, but you want to." Heat flooded her face. "Yuna. Oh my God, you do." Yuna grabbed her hands. "Listen to me. I love you. You're my best friend. But Joon is... He's not safe, Miriam. Whatever you think is happening between you, whatever feelings you have, they can't end well. He's too damaged. Too dangerous. I know. Do you? Because I've watched him destroy everything he touches. He can't help it. It's who he is. Maybe I'm willing to risk it." Yuna's expression shifted to something close to grief. "Then I hope you know what you're doing. Because when this falls apart, and it will fall apart, I don't want to lose you." But Miriam was already lost. She knew it. Felt it in the way her heart raced whenever Joon was near. In the way she caught herself looking for him in crowds. In the way his touch had become as necessary as breathing. That night, Yuna went to visit her mother. Miriam and Joon were alone in the apartment. The tension was unbearable. They circled each other like magnets, drawn together but fighting the pull. "I need to tell you something, Joon," said. They were in the kitchen. He was making tea, something to do with his hands. "About your father. Okay. The information they think he hid, it's not just a theory. Before he died, he sent a message to the Syndicate. Told them he had insurance, evidence that could destroy them. Bank accounts, names, operations, everything." Miriam's hands went cold. "And they think he gave it to me. They think he hid it somewhere, you'd find it eventually. Or that he told you something before he died. Did he? Did he say anything unusual?" "Give you anything?" She thought back to those last days. Her father had been distracted, stressed. He'd hugged her longer than usual the last time she saw him. "Keep being strong, Miriam. No matter what happens, keep being strong." Then, he was gone. Car accident on the highway. Quick, they said. He didn't suffer. Except now she knew it was a lie. He didn't give me anything. Just hugged me. Told me to be strong. Joon nodded slowly. "If they believe you don't have it, if they believe you don't know anything, there's a chance they'll leave you alone. Do you believe that?" "No." He set down his mug, moved toward her. "Which is why I'm not letting you out of my sight." "For how long?" "As long as it takes." She looked up at him. At this man who was supposed to kill her but instead was willing to die for her. "Joon, you can't babysit me forever. Watch me. What about your other assignments? Your work?" "I quit." She blinked. "What?" "I told them I'm out. Sent the message 3 hours ago." "Joon, that's insane. What will they... come after me?" "I know." He took her hands in his. "But I'm done, Miriam. Done killing. Done following orders. Done pretending I'm something I'm not. I got into this because I had no choice. My family was in debt. My mother needed medical treatment we couldn't afford. The Syndicate offered me a way out. But the price..." He looked away. "The price was my soul. And I've been trying to get it back ever since." "You could have just completed your assignment. Killed me. That would have been easier. Maybe. But then I'd have lost the only good thing in my life." His thumb brushed across her knuckles. "You make me want to be better. And maybe it's selfish. Maybe it's stupid, but I'm choosing you over everything." Tears burned in her eyes. "What if they kill you for that choice? Then I die knowing I finally did something right." She pulled her hands free, pressed them against his chest, could feel his heart hammering beneath her palms. "That's not comforting." "I know." He covered her hands with his. "But it's the truth, and I promised no more lies." They stood there in the kitchen, Seoul glittering outside the windows, both knowing that everything was about to change. That choosing each other meant war. That love, in their case, wasn't a happy ending, it was the beginning of something dangerous and terrible and possibly doomed. But neither of them cared. Miriam rose on her toes, kissed him. He made a sound low in his throat, hands moving to her waist, pulling her closer. The kiss deepened, became desperate. His hands slid under her shirt, warm against her skin. She tugged at his shirt, wanting, needing to be closer. He broke the kiss, breathing hard. Miriam, if we do this, I want to. You don't understand. Once we cross this line, there's no going back. You'll be completely tied to me. My enemies become your enemies. My past becomes your problem. Are you sure? She kissed him again, cutting off his words. I'm sure. I've been sure since you gave me your jacket in the rain. Since you helped me with my essay. Since you looked at me like I was the only person in the world who mattered. I'm sure, Joon. He searched her eyes for a long moment, then lifted her onto the kitchen counter, stepped between her legs, and kissed her like they had all the time in the world. Like they weren't both marked for death. Like this was normal and safe and possible. His hands moved up her sides, her fingers tangled in his hair. They were both breathing hard, both lost in each other, both forgetting everything except this moment. The apartment door opened. They sprang apart so fast Miriam nearly fell off the counter. Joon caught her, steadied her. They both turned toward the door, hearts hammering. But it wasn't Yuna. 3 men stepped inside, strangers in dark suits, faces hard and expressionless. And behind them, someone Joon clearly recognized. Tall, sharp features, eyes like chips of ice. He smiled when he saw them. Miriam disheveled on the counter, Joon's hands still on her waist, both of them looking guilty as hell. Well, the stranger said in perfect English. This complicates things. Joon stepped in front of Miriam immediately. Automatically. His entire body language shifted from intimate to lethal in a heartbeat. Kaito. Joon. Kaito's smile widened, but there was no warmth in it, just cold amusement. I hear you've been having trouble with your assignment. Thought I'd come see for myself what the problem was. His eyes slid to Miriam, assessed her with clinical detachment. And now I understand. Get out of my apartment. Your apartment? Kaito laughed, a sharp, cruel sound. You mean our apartment. We pay for it, remember? We pay for everything. Your sister's university, your mother's medical bills, this nice view of Seoul, all of it bought with our money. And all we asked in return was your loyalty. Joon's hands clenched into fists. I've been loyal. Have you? Kaito pulled out his phone, swiped through images, turned it to show them. Photos of Joon and Miriam. At the cafe, walking through campus, him giving her his jacket. Them standing too close in various locations. This doesn't look like loyalty. This looks like you fell for your target. I'm handling it. Are you? Kaito put his phone away. Because from where I'm standing, you haven't handled anything. You've been stalling for 2 months. Making excuses. And now I find you here, about to screw the woman you were supposed to eliminate. That's not handling it, Joon. That's betrayal. The word hung in the air, sharp and terrible. The council wants to see you both, Kaito continued. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. They'll decide what to do about your... She has nothing to do with this. She has everything to do with this. Kaito moved toward the door, his men following. He paused in the threshold, looked back. You were our best operative, Joon. It's a shame it had to end this way. 24 hours. Get your affairs in order. His eyes flicked to Miriam one more time. Both of you. Then they were gone. The door closed with a quiet click that sounded like a death sentence. Silence. Heavy and suffocating. Miriam's legs gave out. She slid off the counter. Would have fallen if Joon hadn't caught her. He held her up, pulled her against his chest. She could feel his heart hammering, could feel the tension radiating off him in waves. What does he mean? The council will decide. Her voice shook. It means we're both targets now. His arms tightened around her. By not killing you, I betrayed them. And they don't forgive betrayal. Ever. So what do we do? I don't know. For the first time since she'd met him, he sounded genuinely lost. Genuinely afraid. I don't know how to keep you safe from this. She pulled back to look at him, saw the fear in his eyes, the desperation. Then we run. Tonight. We leave Seoul. Go somewhere they can't find us. They'll find us. They have resources everywhere. Eyes in every city. There's nowhere we can run that they won't eventually track us down. Then what? We just show up tomorrow and let them kill us? No. His jaw clenched. No. We show up. We face them. And I make them understand that you're innocent. That you don't know anything. Maybe if I offer myself, if I take full responsibility, they'll let you go. Absolutely not. Miriam. No, Joon. I'm not letting you sacrifice yourself for me. That's not how this works. Then how does it work? His voice rose, frustration bleeding through. Because I don't see another option. I can't protect you from an entire syndicate. I can't fight them all. The only thing I can do is try to make a deal. My life for yours. No deal. She grabbed his face, forcing him to look at her. We figure this out together. Or we go down together. But I'm not losing you. He looked at her for a long moment, then pulled her into a crushing embrace, buried his face in her hair. You're going to get us both killed. Maybe. But at least we'll die together. He laughed, but it came out broken. That's not as comforting as you think it is. They stood there in the kitchen, holding each other while Seoul glittered outside the windows, indifferent to their fate. Somewhere in the city, people were deciding how they would die, and Miriam realized with stunning clarity that falling for Joon wasn't just dangerous, it was a death sentence for them both. But as she felt his heart hammering against hers, felt the desperation in the way he held her like she might disappear, she knew she'd make the same choice again, even knowing how it would end, even knowing the price. Whatever happens tomorrow, she whispered against his chest. I don't regret this. I don't regret you. His arms tightened. You should. But I don't. They didn't sleep that night. Just held each other on the couch, watching the sun rise over Seoul's skyline. Yuna came home around 7, took one look at them, and knew something was catastrophically wrong. What happened? Joon told her. All of it. The assignment, the syndicate, the 24 hours they had before facing judgment. Yuna listened in silence, her face going paler with each word. When he finished, she looked at Miriam. I told you. I told you he was dangerous. I know. And you stayed anyway. Yes. Yuna's eyes filled with tears. You're both idiots. She pulled them both into a hug, squeezing tight. Idiots who are going to get yourselves killed. We might, Joon said quietly. Which is why you need to stay away from us today. If they think you're involved, I am involved. She's my best friend and you're my brother. So whatever happens, we face it together. Yuna, don't argue with me. I get stubborn when I'm terrified. She pulled back, wiped her eyes. So what's the plan? We show up tonight, face the council, hope we can negotiate. And if you can't? Silence. They all knew the answer. The day crawled by. Joon made calls to contacts he had, trying to understand what the council was planning. Miriam tried to study but couldn't focus. Every car that passed outside made her jump. Every footstep in the hallway made her heart race. Around 6 p.m., Joon found her on the balcony, watching the city. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, pulled her back against his chest. You could still leave. No. Miriam. No, Joon. I'm seeing this through. She turned in his arms to face him. Besides, where would I go? Back to Nigeria where they'd eventually find me? Run to another country where I'd spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder? At least here, with you, I know what I'm fighting. He cupped her face. I'm sorry. For all of this. For bringing you into my world. For not being strong enough to stay away from you. Don't apologize for the best thing that's ever happened to me. I was supposed to kill you. But you didn't. You chose me instead. And that's everything. He kissed her then. Soft and slow and achingly tender. Like he was memorizing her. Like this might be the last time. When he pulled back, his eyes were dark with emotion. If we somehow survive tonight, when we survive, he corrected with a small smile. I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret choosing me. I could never regret you. Give it time, he said again. But this time he was smiling. 7 p.m., 1 hour until they had to leave. Joon was in his room, preparing. Miriam didn't know for what. Weapons, probably. Ways to protect her if things went wrong. She was sitting on the couch with Yuna when there was a knock at the door. They both froze. Were you expecting someone? Miriam whispered. No. Joon appeared from his room, gun in hand. He motioned for them to be quiet, moved to the door, looked through the peephole. His entire body went rigid. What? Miriam mouthed. He didn't answer. Just opened the door. Kaido stood there. Alone this time. Hands in his pockets, expression unreadable. May I come in? No. Joon, I'm not here to fight. I'm here to talk. Alone. Just you and me. 5 minutes. Joon hesitated. Then, fine. But you try anything. I'm unarmed. Kaido opened his jacket to prove it. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Joon stepped into the hallway, closed the door behind him. Miriam immediately moved to press her ear against it, straining to hear muffled voices. She couldn't make out words, but she could hear the tension, the anger in Joon's tone, the measured calm in Kaido's. Then silence. Then the door opened. Joon walked in alone. His face was ashen. "What did he say?" Miriam demanded. Joon looked at her, and the expression in his eyes made her blood run cold. "He gave me a choice." "What kind of choice?" "Complete the assignment tonight. Kill you, before we go to the council. Prove my loyalty, and they'll forgive everything. I keep my life, my family stays safe, everything goes back to normal." The words hit her like a physical blow. "And if you don't?" "If I don't, we both die tonight. Not quick, not easy. They'll make an example of us. Show everyone what happens when you betray the Syndicate." Silence. Heavy and terrible. "So," Miriam said, her voice remarkably steady despite the way her hands shook. "What are you going to do?" Joon crossed to her, took her hands in his, looked her straight in the eyes. "I'm going to get you out of here. Now. Before it's too late." "What?" "No." "Yes." His grip tightened. "Yuna, pack her a bag. Enough for a week. Miriam, you're leaving. Tonight. I have a contact at the airport. He'll get you on a flight to anywhere you want to go. Malaysia, Singapore, back to Nigeria, anywhere but here. I'm not leaving you to die. You are. Because if you stay, we both die. But if you run, at least one of us survives. Joon, please." His voice broke. "Please, Miriam. Let me save you. It's the only good thing I'll ever do in this life. Let me do this one thing right." Tears streamed down her face. "I can't leave you. You have to." He pulled her against his chest, held her while she sobbed. "Because I love you, and I won't watch you die because of me. I won't." But Miriam had no idea that Kaito's offer was a lie, that the choice was a test, that the Syndicate already knew what Joon would choose. He'd choose her, every time. And that's exactly what they wanted. Not his compliance. His complete and total downfall. Because tomorrow morning, when Joon showed up to that meeting thinking Miriam was safe on a plane somewhere, he'd discover the truth. That they'd been tracking her from the moment she left the apartment. That they'd intercepted her at the airport. That the only way to save her now was to give them what they'd wanted all along. The evidence her father had hidden. The insurance policy. The thing Miriam didn't even know she carried. But that revelation. That horrible twist. That moment when everything Joon thought he knew would shatter, that's coming in part 2. If your heart is racing right now, good. That means you need to watch part 2 immediately. Hit that like button if this story has you on the edge of your seat. Drop a comment. Should Miriam run or stay and fight? What would you do in her situation? And click the link in the description right now to watch part 2, because what happens next will destroy you. The truth about her father's evidence. The real reason Kaito made that offer. And the choice that will either save them or damn them both forever, it's all in part 2. Don't make me wait to tell you the rest. Click that link now. See you in part 2.